Corrie and Betsey Tenboom were locked in the Ravensbrück concentration camp for keeping Jews in their home in Holland. Their first night in the dormitory, it was really hard on Corrie. She was having a really difficult time. The place smelled so bad, it was so crowded, and it was horribly dark. There was only one tiny light bulb, and it was way in the back of the dormitory. It was so dim in there it was hard to see. And as she laid on her bed, something bit her on the back of the leg. And she goes, "Betsey, there are fleas in here." And she sits up and finds another one, and she says, "How can we live in a place like this?" And then she hears her sister. And her sister says, "Show us how. Show us how to live here." And she realized her sister was praying. Sister Betsey says, "I know exactly what the answer is. The Lord already gave us the answer, and He gave it to us before we even asked. He always does." Remember when we were reading in the Bible and Corrie took out their Bible and she was looking at it? She says, "Yeah, reading the Bible today." She says, "Remember that part that we read?" And Corrie looked through, and they'd been reading 1 Thessalonians verse 5:18, and Corrie read it, and when she got to the part that said, "Rejoice always, pray constantly, and give thanks in every circumstance," Betsey says, "That's it. That's what we can do." And she says, "Let's give thanks about every single thing in this new dormitory." And Corrie's like, "Such as?" And her sister says, "Well, such as being assigned here together." And Corrie's all, "Oh yeah, that's pretty important." And then Betsey says, "And such as that thing in your hand." And Corrie thinks, "Oh yeah, we weren't searched." She says, "Oh, I'm so grateful we weren't searched when we came in here, so we were able to take our Bible. And we're so grateful that there are all these people here. All these other women will also be able to come to Christ from our scripture reading from this Bible." And Betsey says, "Yeah, and because they're so crowded, lots more people will hear." And Corrie's all, "Okay." I'm thankful for the terrible, suffocating, ridiculous crowds. And Betsey says, "And we're thankful for the fleas." And Corrie says, "No." And Corrie's thinking, that's way too far. She's like, "Not even God can make me thankful for a flea." Well, every single night, Corrie and Betsey would go together and get whatever food was available, turnip soup, whatever they had in the concentration camp, and they would eat it, and they would go back to their dormitory that night. And they would take their Bible, and they would go to that tiny little spot that had the little light bulb up against the back wall, and they would read their Bible. And people started to join them, and so they started calling what they called services, and they had their little meetings in the back with the women who wanted to join. And there became so many people that wanted to join them, they had to add a second service after roll call. Now, the weird thing was, they were under lots and lots of surveillance everywhere in the prison that they went. I mean, when they went to get their food, they were watched. When they went outside their dormitory, anywhere they went, they were watched in the barracks. But in that dormitory, no guard ever set foot. And they wondered why they had so much privacy. Well, one day, when Corrie came back from gathering wood for their little stove that they had for their dormitory, Betsey was grinning all over when she came in, and she's like, "You look really pleased with yourself." And Betsey says, "I figured out why we don't have any supervision in the dormitory." And Corrie's like, "I give up. Why?" She says, "Well, today we were in our knitting group and we're making socks, and we asked the supervisor to come and settle a question that we had about it, and she wouldn't come in. And not only would she not come in, but the guards wouldn't come in either. And guess why?" And Corrie couldn't guess. And Betsey says, she said, "That place is crawling with fleas. The fleas, Corrie, are the reason that no one ever bothers us in the dormitory. I told you we'd be thankful for the fleas." Now, I love this story, but for me it's more personal. Betsey reminds me of a very beautiful, positive-minded friend that I have, that we love very much. She's the kind of person that you talk to her for 10 minutes, and maybe you go to talk to her and you're venting about a problem or telling her about a situation you're dealing with, In 10 minutes, she can have you feeling so blessed and so lucky and so grateful for the things that you do have, the things that didn't happen, that you've forgotten about your problem. You're thinking about everything from a completely different perspective. Now, 2 years ago, my beautiful friend was diagnosed with a mass in her brain. And she went to the doctors and they studied it as much as they could. They did everything they could think of to figure out what it was. But it seems stable. It doesn't seem like it's growing very much or anymore. So they decided to leave it alone. And they have to keep a close eye on it. She's got to go in and have it checked. She's got to go to the cancer wards and have things checked out. And because of the person she is, because of her particular superpower of being able to encourage and inspire and lift up and help others with her words, think of the good that she has done in those cancer wards, in all those facilities, with all the medical professionals, with the families of people with cancer, because they say that the greatest determining factor for if you're going to survive cancer is a positive outlook. Now that puts my friend definitely on the happy, positive side, but it's not just her, because the ray of hope that she carries around in her heart is so great and so incredible that it changes the lives of the people that she interacts with and makes them more positive too. Her positive perspective is saving lives in those cancer wards. It's making a difference to people who may not survive but will still be able to be happy because they've talked with her and they've absorbed her perspective, her gratitude in every circumstance. We should rejoice in every circumstance in which we're placed. We don't know if something about that circumstance was designed to bless our lives or to bless someone else's lives. There is another beautiful woman that I've had the privilege of meeting at a Time Out for Women talk, and her name is Laura Story, and she sings a beautiful song called Blessings that she wrote when she was going through a difficult trial in her life. And it goes, it's a prayer, and it goes, what if your blessings come through raindrops? What if your healing comes through tears? What if 1,000 sleepless nights are what it takes to know you're near? What if trials in this life are your mercies in disguise? I'll put a link to that below in the comments. It's a beautiful song. But I just want to leave with you a quick message that we can give thanks in all circumstances. Betsey gave thanks for the fleas. My friend would definitely have found a way to be thankful for fleas. But being thankful for a mass in your brain is pretty hard too. But we can definitely be thankful in every circumstance. And we can remember, sometimes it's not about us. Sometimes the Lord is trying to connect with us. Sometimes He's trying to help someone else through us. The Lord is weaving a beautiful tapestry with our lives, and we can only see a tiny piece of it. We can't always see what's going on, but we can have faith that He sees it, and in the end, it will be beautiful.